This is the Frivolous Dreams Podcast with Kyle Rogers.
Do you prefer Pastor Kenny or just Kenny?
Just Kenny.
Just Kenny?
I am a pastor, but I don't.
Yes!
So, Kenny Evans, welcome to Frivolous Dreams. Did you happen to do any research?
Very little. I did
little.
want to know the history of the name.
Oh, okay. Did you?
Or do you regularly show that or express that?
Did you find an answer?
I did not.
So, if you look at the content that's on my channel, it just on the channel alone, which is a very small part of my life, it's changed from trying to just find stories around a campfire to how to build a camper to playing Magic, and now just talking to people. And the reason I went with Frivolous Dreams is because I'm always trying to think of like fun stuff, even if, and a lot of times it comes out completely silly. Like I tell people, like sometimes I feel fearless and fearful at the same time, because like I'll be driving down the highway and I'll see a rock in the road, and instead of just going, oh, a rock, and moving on, my brain will go, man, if I had hit that rock and got a flat tire, like I'm in a Jeep, so prone to rolling over, but that's okay. There's a river there. And then my brain goes into cartoon mode where it's like, yeah, I would just get thrown out and then do a swan dive. And it kind of goes into like a frivolous, like, don't worry about that mode. But also like, because my ideas and my hobbies and my interests change regularly.
Yeah, I know about that one.
It's like,
all right, I'm with you.
Yeah,
I'm dialed in.
I sometimes worry that to somebody who just looks at that and that just the name of it and doesn't dive any deeper, that maybe they think it's like some weird kink thing. Like Frivolous Dreams, I don't know. Like, could somebody associate that with sexual website?
Some kind of eroticism?
Yeah, eroticism, yeah. And it's like, I mean, whatever.
See, I don't think it ever led my mind there. It's like frivolous.
Well, that's good to know.
is more useless. So it's just useless dreams.
Yeah. And
but no dreams I've ever found are useless.
Well,
but I don't associate dreams with fantasies.
Yeah. See, when I say dreams, I mean daydreams. Like when you just run off into the world, and it's like, no, I'm pretty sure if we dive into it, I'll change that, because the trigger that led specifically to this podcast with that name is, and when I thought of it, it fit real well, is the idea that if I'm always going like, oh man, if I had Elon Musk money, like I would, and then insert something outrageous here. Like one of them is fake a cemetery, but not like Halloween decorations, fake it, like pay someone to engrave real headstones and then just put them somewhere in the woods and not tell anyone, so that someday someone finds it and goes, wow, there's a cemetery here. And really it's just some dude with Elon Musk money decided he wanted to play a joke on someone he didn't know was ever going to show up. And it's like, that's a pretty frivolous dream.
Yes. But then I'm starting to think, how many years would it take for that to disappear in the Pacific Northwest?
Right.
So you would need to have some background fake history added to these people.
Yeah, it would be awesome to try to think of,
like if there's a
15
website dedicated to old cemeteries and you were able to post that on as one of them, and you start listing the people that are in the cemetery and some of the history that you know.
See, yes, but my brain goes like, don't get caught. So if I wanted to someone to truly think that it's legitimate, the less information they have, the more likely they are to believe it, because there's less evidence of it being fake. So if you just put if you put 15 completely fake graves out there, but 2 of them are kind of like tongue-in-cheeky, and then you don't tell anyone, 15 years or 1,500 years later, somebody's going to find it and they're going to go, there's no history on this. It's a long lost cemetery that nobody knew about. Therefore, they would, it's like, who built the pyramids? The truth is, we don't know.
But there needs to be a hook, I would think, to get people to stay curious and not just go cemetery and walk away.
Well, but that's true. But who would be walking through the woods and find a headstone and not be like,
What if it was like a developer and they're wanting to, they buy the property and didn't know there was a cemetery on it. Now do we have a sacred ground?
Oh, that would be a oopsie. I wouldn't want to ruin someone's financial future, but some.
Well, they should have walked the property before they bought it.
Yeah, well, it depends on how much of a property it is. When I was looking to buy some property, my mom and I walked the property, and we found a whole bunch of like old car frames and drums and stuff. It was in Massachusetts. Had quite a history. It originally was a paper mill, and then when that burnt down, they reopened it as a fish hatchery, and then they abandoned that, and then now it's just for sale. And I'm glad I didn't buy it, because otherwise I wouldn't have met you.
I was going to say you would have been locked into the area, which was one of the reasons you moved out of here. Is you weren't ready to be locked in anywhere. You wanted to explore.
No. By the time I got here, I had that like, oh, I could go anywhere.
Yeah.
Thought, and then I showed up and I was like, oops, like I'm not going anywhere. But before I got here, I was perfectly willing to set roots up in Massachusetts. It's just that between homeowners associations and CCNRs, it would have been impossible. Because in Massachusetts, there's so many rules that if you bought acreage and then you walked into the middle of it and nobody could see you and you slung up a hammock, you'd be breaking the law, because every town has some sort of occupation requirement which requires more than just a hammock. And if you don't have that, you can't live there. And it's like, that's a little asinine. Like, if I wanted, like, I understand saying, hey, we're not going to give you a certificate of occupancy because we don't want anyone to get hurt. Therefore, you can't sell that. But to say I can't risk living in it myself.
You're not living. You're just long-term camping.
Well, I did a lot of that too. But that's the thing, is it's like, they literally have laws in the books, like in Beckett, that says if you're not in one of these 3 official campgrounds, you could be fined $50 a day. And it's like, that's outrageous. But neighbors be neighboring. So enough about me.
No, you're probably not enough on your own podcast. We need to draw more out.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, here's some shared history. We ran into each other at Patty Cakes.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah, and we had an interesting conversation about Duncan Trussell, Family Hour, and his outrageous collection of philosophies, and how there's a lot of different aspects of, I don't want to say religion, but that kind of stuff that you actually have a history in, if I remember right. You said that you went down quite a path to get to where you are that involved looking into more than just Christianity, if I remember right.
Absolutely.
What was that path like, if you gave it an elevator speech?
I was raised in a very conservative Christian family. And as I got into my late teens, I just felt like there was a disconnect. It was not resonating with me. And so I thought, but I still think there's something, because there's some weird mystical things that happen in life. And there just aren't answers for everything. And I just thought, all right, let's start exploring. Let's start asking better questions. Let's not assume that I was raised with the right thing. So I did. I just started being more curious and less scared, and saying, let's go down this road and understand maybe a broader perspective of the world. Possibly, I don't know. But let's not just fall back on my faith, because the faith of my childhood, it wasn't working. The nice clean package with a bow on it didn't fit. And so I would say I left the faith for many years. And I don't know how hard I was actually looking for many of those years. Some of that is just college and being a 20-year-old kid who was an idiot and just also trying to figure out how to make his way through life. Sometimes faith took a back seat, but it kept popping up through conversations because ultimately the curiosity was in front of me. And ultimately that led me to where I am now, but nothing else seemed to give me answers that shaped me, or too many answers. How's this? I don't like answers that build me up or make me the center, or that it's about becoming more, or my pride. I like answers that say we need to be kinder, gentler, humbler, and serve others more. For whatever reason, I'm wired for more compassion, more empathy, and I didn't want a faith that said, if you do it right, this is what you will achieve.
You have a right to the work, not the product of the work.
I didn't want to earn something.
Yeah.
That didn't fit right with me.
I did try to pull you up on AI just real quick because
Oh no, this is interesting.
do you AI at all?
A little bit.
A little bit. It's funny how it doesn't know how to differentiate between, Kyle Rogers, the hockey player, Kyle Rogers, the MMA player, and Kyle Rogers, the podcaster.
Right.
So it just lumps them all together
Oh,
as
yeah.
those Kyle Rogers. So you can't trust it to look up anyone who's not uber famous.
Yeah.
So it said your February 20th birthday?
Correct.
That's correct?
Yeah.
So that one, it was right. Does that make you Aquarius?
Pisces, day one.
Pisces, day one. Okay. I don't know anything about that. Do you entertain that at all?
Horoscope?
Yeah.
Astrology signs? No.
No?
I did when I was 22.
Interesting.
But again, I struggled with something that tried to tie everything up in a neat bow. And that's what that was trying to do. And if you read the signs right, you can start to manipulate. You can start to control, and you can start to... I was like, I don't like that. I don't think that's how
When
it
you
works
say
for
that,
me.
do you mean yourself, other people, both?
I think it usually starts with yourself, but too many people also think that if we can understand someone else and their sign, then maybe I start to pigeonhole. I start to come up with a prejudice, either for or against, and I kind of think I start to know people. People are too complex.
You could say that again.
And I don't like things that try to give me a nice, clean answer because it's way too messy.
I regularly get into a debate with my dad, and it's not really a debate because he doesn't have a choice. But about whether free will exists. And I ascribe to say that willpower exists, but free will doesn't, because that implies an ability to ignore any data and not even consider it. And it's like, well, the decision to try to ignore data is even driven by data. So if you iron it out, no matter what you do, it's controlled more by data and less by willpower, because your choice to employ willpower is driven by data.
Mm-hmm.
So, it all comes back to you just respond to the data that you can remember. Since you can't choose to remember,
I can barely control myself, but that
Right.
would be the only thing I can do. Is it's how do I control my response? And even that I can't always do.
Right. think I wrote something down here about that. Nope, I didn't. I just thought about it. But I did try to take some quick notes because I don't want to.
From AI?
No.
Well, I love that you got my birth date. Was there anything else that pulled up?
No, at first it said that you were a traveling singer. And I was like, that doesn't sound right. Are you a traveling singer?
No. I wish I was. That'd be a fantastic gig.
I would love to be able to create the reaction that singers create in me, in other people.
Wouldn't that be? To have the ability to mold and touch a heart.
Mm-hmm.
That's a sacred gift if you can ever do that, and a huge responsibility.
That makes me think of, like, it's even though it may involve a vocabulary, I don't think it truly touches with just the words. But that made me think about the difference between a prayer, a birthday wish, and a wish upon a star. Like, when you say a prayer, you're using specific vocabulary to talk to a specific, we'll say, entity for the ambiguity of
that's fine.
Whatnot, and you're processing it through your conscious willpower. But when you see a shooting star, you don't have time for any of that processing. And if your heart jumps at a specific thing, now that's truly powerful, but also, basically a form of prayer. It's just a little bit more ambiguous.
And then there's the prayer that I know people are listening, so I got to sound right.
Speaking of sounding, I did notice that you are the Bridge Church.
Correct. That is one of my jobs.
I noticed that there was a podcast listed.
Yeah, well, it's the sermon every Sunday that I put onto just the audio, just the sermon part, not the whole show.
So no.
You wouldn't get the music or the announcements
of waiting in line for.
No, it's just pretty much the talk, and we started that during COVID.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah. So, have you ever thought about just having a regular podcast where you sit down and talk?
Never.
Not interested?
I don't think I'm that interesting.
I disagree.
And honestly, the best part is it doesn't have to do with me. It would have to do with the guests that you bring on. How do we draw and bring the best out of them? And they're the interesting ones.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of like a sleepover. It's always more fun to go to your friend's house than it was to have them come to your house.
Well, yeah.
But
I already know all the secrets of my house. I don't know the secrets of someone else.
Right.
See, I look at people the same way. They're like a treasure hunt. I get excited. What's in there? We're going to find something. Something fun. Something that it's going to be so interesting and so unique.
There's a frivolous dream of mine, and to play on the idea of the podcast, not the original explanation of pointless dreams, but I would love to have the ability and the time to just go interview a whole bunch of homeless people.
Oh, I love that.
Because I feel like a lot of times when you see on the news, or in conversation at the market or, work or whatever, a lot of times people go, they're just a bunch of drug addicts, homeless drug addicts. And it's like, I don't think a bunch is the right word.
That's a broad brush.
Right. I'm sure that there are some percentage of homeless people out there who are homeless because they are drug addicts. And we don't need to dive into the why are they drug addicts part, but there's a lot more people out there, I think, the larger percentage is people who are homeless and therefore are drug addicts. Because when you have absolutely nothing to do, you don't have a schedule because you don't have a job, and you can't go entertain yourself because you don't have any money for, I don't know, bowling or whatever. Like, what else are you going to do? Like, you're just going to do drugs. It's the easiest way to forget that you're homeless. And I feel like that is the direction it goes rather than the other way around for most people. But
I don't know. I'd have to interview a few more.
Let me ask you this. There is and I don't even know what exactly to call it, but the help place that's going in at the old nursing home. Any thoughts on that? Opinions? Have you talked to anyone about it?
I'm still gathering information.
Okay.
But anything that brings support and help, I'm in favor of. And yeah, that's a good start. I would like to see something done with that building, first of all. And if they're really being helpful, then that sounds like a great idea. What are your thoughts? Because you've got something chewing in your ear.
I do. I do.
Or you've got some questions.
Well, I do love the idea of helping people. I'm a big fan of helping people help themselves.
Yes.
You know,
teach a man to fish or give him a fish.
Yeah, the conservative
I
way
like
of putting it.
teaching people to fish.
Yeah. But there's also like all that Minneapolis stuff with the fraud, and it's like
Sure.
there's an acceptable amount of greed when it comes to helping people, and there's an unacceptable amount, and it's like just like so many other topics, the trust in anyone who has any level of we'll say success, for the broad brush, at like where does the greed overtake the altruism? You know, it's like Elon Musk, looks with his general public image, he looks either like he's trying real hard to help or trying real hard not to help, depending on where you land politically. But he's not exactly he may be the biggest face in the world financially, but there's a lot of other people out there who have more power than him, who just stay in the shadows. And it's like, are they helping people or are they helping themselves? And when it comes back down to it, it's like there's so much fraud and backdoor handshakes and stuff that are involved in coordinating an entire country. And then there's this help place where it's going in our backyard, and it could be helpful, or it could be somebody's way of going, I know how to game the system, and we're going to make some money. And it's
That's
like,
right.
I hope to God that's not the case. But again, it brings it back to what you said about teaching a man to fish. And it's like my mother works in, I want to say it's adolescent social services. And she helps people who don't really have anyone there to, like, there's a lot of lessons that can be learned about getting on your feet when you don't have a support network. And that's what her company does, is they say, hey, you need some help. We're going to show you how to do the paperwork and get into the programs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, to get you set up to where you can then be successful. And that is great. But there's also a lot of programs that just throw money at problems.
So how would you know for your own life where that line is?
For my
where
life,
you've got this passion, you want to help people, you've got ideals, but maybe you've not even been able to fully live into it. But then what would be the steps or process where you look back at some point and go, oh, I changed. But what, how would you know you got there? What would the markers be to even go, oh, I changed?
I changed or I made change?
Oh, no, I'm thinking where I changed.
Oh.
I mean, doing change, we'll never fully know how much change we do in another life. I mean, not ultimately. But we're talking about the person. How do we know their motives?
How do we know?
Because you brought up the Elon
motives?
Musk. How do we know someone's motives? And how do we know the motives of the organization that's coming into the community, wanting to do something really good? So the first thought in my mind is, how do I first check my own motives? I need to have a base, is there kind of, what are the markers?
I'm a data-driven person.
Okay.
So it's like, odds are when it comes to thinking about something that could happen, or to analyze something that could be or might not be, most of the time I'm going to default to get me more data. Try it. Like, I'm never going to tell somebody don't do something. I might say, here's a theory on why that could go poorly, so maybe you should try to think about that before employing it. But I don't do the no. Like, if you want to go off-roading with an Amigo, go for it. I'm not going to tell you no. You can try to keep up with my Jeep. But you might need a better transfer case.
Sure.
And it's like there's so many different ways and so many different people. Like, everybody has a different viewpoint. Mine's not right. Mine's just mine.
See, I could have this passion, and I really want to do good in this world. And there's a lot of different ways I can go about doing that. Teaching how to teach people, how to invest in people, how to help them help themselves. And they're going to pay me. Well, I mean, we do need to get paid. We need to have some kind of compensation. But sometimes my own desire to be noticed is also mixed up in this, because I don't just want to make money. I also want to make a name for myself. And this is typically in your 20s, maybe you're in your 30s. I really am on this heroic journey. I'm trying to, it's not that it's a bad thing. It's not even a negative, but I'm on a journey to go, what are my boundaries? What are my abilities? And I want to know, how good am I? How strong am I? How capable? What can I do? And that's always mixed in. And so now we've got two separate things, which is I do want to do good, but I've also got these secret ambitions that I only ask myself. And we start making decisions in life. We make decisions whether we get married, different debt that we might go into, and suddenly I'm like, oh, but I made so many of those decisions based on the salary, the income I had. And then I have kids and then more kids, and suddenly they've got school and they need braces and the insurance won't cover it. And suddenly I need to make sure I get this salary. And at some point there might be, not for everyone, there's a shift to going, making sure I take care of my needs becomes a higher motivation than my desire to do good in the world. And now my decision-making is going to move into this gray area.
So are you suggesting that people consciously cross that line and then regret it?
No, I say we look back and we notice it.
You look back and you notice it. How often do you talk about politics? Do you try to avoid it? I won't say what I was about to say if you'd rather avoid it.
I don't avoid it, but I know that in this county, some of my leanings, I'll get thrown out.
Okay.
Not because, how's this? It's not, actually, I don't know that I have a leaning. I vote and do the best I can to look at character of people that I admire and want to look up to. It has less to do about the policies, because the policies make sense depending on the demographic they're trying to help and reach. So my master's degree is anthropology. The study of cultures, the study of people.
Okay.
Contemporary anthropology. So you go into Portland, you go into an urban context, the needs are going to be far different than the needs in a rural. You get it to Cathlamet, the needs are different. The values are going to be different. What the problems we're going to face are going to be different. And so that's going to shape how finances needing to be used are going to be different. And that'll shape jobs and lives and families. And so everyone wants to make money. Everyone wants their 401k to stay safe. Everyone wants their financial investments. Most people, I find, ultimately, you boil it down, will vote for their pocketbook. What is going to benefit them? Less taxes, more taxes. Well, no one wants more taxes, but we know what it gives us. And in an urban context, it'll help a certain group of people. Usually Democrats typically benefit major cities. Republicans oftentimes, though they say it's a value system, especially if you get the Christians in on it, it honestly, from my perspective, I have not found it to actually be based on morals and values, though that'll be the flag they fly. I just think everyone, when it comes down to it, which is going to benefit me and my community, and we get these conflicting ideas because we live in different environments. So oftentimes Democrats are demonized by the Republicans, but on the East Coast, Republicans were demonized by the Christian Democrats, and it's back and forth. I'm like, neither is a Christian party. They each want to demonize the other party because then it makes us easier to vote and support whatever candidate we want to support. That'll benefit me.
I'm gonna
So
try to steer it a little bit toward your lane a little bit because you said that they demonize each other. And that reminded me in my job,
yeah.
which I won't get into because
How about villainize?
Villainize. There was a wall that I used to walk by every day that had a little sticker on it that said, Jesus loves me.
Yeah.
And I saw that every day, and I thought, one, that's a little bit centered, but also, isn't that not special? Because doesn't Jesus love everyone? And I had a coworker who was very, very religious, like organized religious. And I had made that comment to that coworker, and her response quickly and matter-of-factly was, that's not true. And I thought, I never heard that Jesus doesn't love everybody. What are your thoughts on that? Like, have any thoughts on that at all? Because, like I said, I've always thought Jesus loved everybody. Like, wasn't that the whole teaching?
I think there's a God of this world. And for whatever reason, this God said, I want to be in relationship with mankind, men and women, every person on this planet. And God said, not everyone knows me. They don't understand me. They don't understand my heart. And so I'm going to do things to try and win them to me, to reveal who I am. I think God is absolutely active in everyone's life, trying to some greater or lesser degree to draw people to him. And I think it's because God absolutely loves every single person on this planet and says, I don't want to give up on anyone. So that, in my mind, Jesus would be kind of the representation of God for Christianity, would love everyone. That doesn't mean that he loves what we do and the damage and the harm and the pain. And that doesn't also mean consequences don't happen. But love means I absolutely want to be in relationship with you. I have hope. I want to draw closer. And ideally, I want to bring healing from your own pain and hurts. And I think that's part of the goal.
Okay. So we agree then.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that other person that you talked to, I think they're just wrong.
I wonder exactly what organization she was in. But I don't know.
I don't know.
I didn't ask. I was too shocked. I was like, and
yeah, but not all Christians agree. And some are very much, it's my version of Christianity. And if you don't agree with my version and how I view it, then you're also going to hell. And they're wrong. They're just idiots. I mean, they're mean. They're rude. They have not been transformed by the living God, in my mind.
I'm not going to even pretend to try to quote the Bible, but I do remember reading this section where it says that everybody can love someone who loves them, but the real challenge and thing we should strive for is how to love somebody who doesn't love us. And it's like, I had a
Yeah.
coworker recently have a medical incident, and a card was going around for a get well card, and a specific person went like, oh no, I'm not gonna sign that. And it's like, I don't understand how somebody could not want someone to be healthy. Like, who cares how much of a jerk he is or isn't? You know, like, if he's hurt, we should be helping. But that, you know, that philosophy, I guess, is pretty solid in my psyche, because every time I've seen an opportunity to encourage good behavior, I try to, and, you know, discourage suffering, you know?
See, I had someone ask me this morning, hey, would you pray for one of my family members? And they know that I don't like that person very much. They're like, but they're important to me. Would you pray for them? I'm like, absolutely. Because their pain that they're going through, I don't want that on anyone. I don't have to like them, but I don't wish suffering on people. Well, that's not true. There is one person in this world right now that I have an anger towards. I'm like, oh, yeah, I've got to work on this, but it's going to take a little time. It doesn't happen overnight. And I kind of wish that person harm. And I was like, okay, but if I was ever asked to have to pray for them, and I'm like, all right, I probably have to anyhow, I'll still be honest with God. Say, God, this person pisses me off. I can't stand them.
Are you willing to name them?
No.
Okay.
No, that wouldn't be fair to them. How about we let some of the process of my healing and growth and forgiveness come in? Then maybe, and that person, I still need some conversations, and they could still happen. And I would hate to name them, cause problems, and eliminate the potential for healing, because I think that would do more damage.
I'm a big fan of the redemption arc, as my fiance puts it.
And that happens more behind the doors than me making it public.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because that would be just slander.
I'll say that I was guessing it was probably a political figure.
Oh, no. Actually not.
Because my mom would definitely be like, Trump.
I don't care for him, but I don't have hatred at the man or even wish him harm. When I pray, usually even for Trump, I'm like, yeah, give him a lot of wisdom and help him to not be mean. Just transform his character. I usually just go, do something in his heart so that he will have a broader perspective and not harm people.
Have you ever thought about, like, if you had, like, I thought about it with, like, wishes, but if God came and said, hey, whatever one action you think I should take, I'll take it. What would you say?
Yeah, that's way too big.
That's way too big.
That's not a smart decision to put it in my hands.
And that's one of the things that I consider when I think about those kind of things. Like, if you could make a wish, it's like, if you wish to win the lottery, right? You're not going to really honor that wealth.
No.
And if you wish for somebody else to win the lottery, they're not going to honor that wealth. But, and I came down to, like, I would wish for everybody tonight to have a memorable, great dream, because that would still give everybody mostly the you know, air quotes, free will to do with it what they will. But I couldn't see everybody having a good dream on the same night as detrimental.
See, if you want to go down a rabbit hole, because that sounds like what this podcast would be good for, is in the 80s, there were these 4 hippos that were shipped over to South America. It was, what was it? The drug lord.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That guy.
Yeah, the cocaine drug lord.
Escobar?
Yes. But do you know how many there are now? Because they've reproduced, and they're in the river system, and they're taking over. There's about 400 to 500 of them now. And so the herd has exploded, and people have offered, even from India, let's fly them out. Let's save them. Let's redeem them. Let's give them a better life, because they're doing nothing but damage. And And that way they don't just get killed. But I think the final line is they're about to get exterminated because there's no natural predators to keep the herd down. So all they're doing is damage.
Right.
So in my mind, if you ask me if I could change one thing, that would be like, you can't just ask for one thing because everything is tied into an ecosystem of life, of a rhythm, of God's growth. Even stopping pain is not a good prayer or a power, because the pain is what is developing us to keep us growing, alive, thinking, processing, wrestling. Pain is a gift. I don't like it, but it's a gift. And that keeps transforming us. And then you're working through humility and healing. I just go, if I had one wish, it would be whatever that wish is, no matter what it is. It'd be like flying 4 hippos and saying, here you go. It disrupt everything. It would not be a good thing to win the lottery, to eliminate homelessness, it's not that I'm in favor of solving the world's problems. It has more to do with, maybe the prayer would be, God, give us the wisdom to know how to live less for ourselves and more for others, and to solve some of these problems in a healthy way so that maybe there's less pain, reduce it, but that you're using us, God, to bring a transformation. Instead of God just being the, magic powder, little genie, the, fairy dust.
Right. Yeah. My brain goes very similar. Like, that's too much responsibility, and if you did use it, odds are it would be just like a gin, where it's like something bad's gonna happen.
Yeah, I solve a problem, but now I've got hippos stomping around eating everything, and
Right.
and people are dying because of these hippos. Even I think there's several deaths reported because of them.
Well, yeah, I couldn't imagine them like being happy anywhere, but let's ask the question of the podcast. If you won the lottery, we're talking 30 grand a day every day for the rest of your life. 20 years from now, after you've already done everything you could have wished to have done, now you're going to waste the money. How do you waste it? Keyword is waste.
Oh, the key word is waste.
Yeah.
I don't know that I can waste it. That bothers me. My first thought is, let's take it and put it into a fund, a trust, some kind of regulated thing. Okay, how about this? I want my kids to go to college. But I don't want them to touch the money.
Right.
I don't want to die and let them have the money. It's not theirs.
Okay.
Money is a resource for me to be wise to figure out how to help others with and to transform this world. It is not meant for me. Never was. It's just a resource. So selfishly, because I'll stick to the honest, true answer, there's a selfish part of me. I would set up, once you get like 2 million. Okay, let's set that aside, put it into a mutual fund account, and I'll draw off the interest. And that's what I live on for the rest of my life, is the compound interest off that. The rest of this money for how much a day?
30 grand.
30 grand a day. That doesn't even come into my fingers, never will. Gets funneled into some other fund that is designed. And I would probably say this, the money wouldn't stay in the United States.
Offshore bank accounts.
No, it would have to go to other countries that are far more needy. What I would love is, we are the one of the richest countries in the world. Most of the world's resources come to us, though we're 6% of the world's population. We consume over 20% of the world's resources. I love the idea of being the big brother to the world, in the fact that, how do we look out for the little kids around us? Not to be the peacemakers or the peacekeepers, but to be the ones who go, hey, I want to help you because I've got more than you. Let me help you out. And so what are some of the other issues in the world that could be worked on in other countries. I don't have the answer to that. I don't want to touch the money. What I would want to do is there are a lot of great organizations, because I have looked this up, because I've had someone recently offer me the potential to help manage large amounts of money. And the first thought was, ooh, I wonder if I could funnel any into my pocket. And I was like, yeah, that'd be dumb. That would be boring really quick.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not extravagant. I don't want to be. I don't want to be rich. I don't want to be famous. I used to. I mean, that was my 20s. That was my 30s even. That stuff, I don't want the toys. I don't want the weight. I don't want everyone asking me for money. I have 3 kids that are 13. One of them every day has got some get rich quick scheme, and he's asking for money. Dad, can you invest $200 in this scheme of mine? I'm like, no, go get a job. Go mow yards. Go do this. Go make your own money. Use your money if you have some scheme. And I'm great with that, but I'm not going to be the one to fund it. If this is important to you, you will figure this out, and you will find the resources and do it. He hates that answer. He wants all these shoes and clothes, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not getting those. I take great care of you. You got what you need. And I want to live the same. I've got what I need. I really do.
What's your favorite get-rich scheme he's come up with?
Oh my gosh. The most recent one, it was so random. He was out bike riding with some friends on Saturday, and he came back, said, Dad, I need $200, and I can guarantee 100% return, plus I'll give you an extra 50 on it for the initial investment. I'm like, all right. I'm curious, what do you got? He said, so me and my buddy, we're gonna make perfume, and we're gonna sell colognes and perfumes to other middle schoolers. I said, is this a need that your school has? Like, do your friends, are they asking for cologne? Because you stink. And I don't see you doing anything to correct that. So I'm just curious why suddenly you want to smell good, or your friends are saying they want to smell good, because I hang out with you and your friends, and you guys all have the worst smell. Yet I know I've bought you a case of deodorant, but you don't seem to care about that. He's like, no, I don't care about smelling, but if it'll make me rich. I said, but do you think anyone's going to buy it? Well, of course they're going to buy it, because I'm making it. I said, so where are you going to get this? And he started telling me this idea of he's got the little essential oils. I'm going to buy essential oils, and I'm going to create a laboratory, and I'm going to start making up my own, personalized scents. I'm like, how much do you think is going to take just for research, just to come up with these? He's like, I think I can make an amazing cologne in probably two tries. He's like, with just at the beginning of the bottle. Like, I don't even have to, I won't even use half the bottle. I'll have this down, and I'm going to be making it, and I'm going to be bankrolling money in about a month and a half, I'm sure. It might take a little longer, but I should have full return within a month and a half.
How many classmates does he have?
Oh, he's probably got 20, 30 other 8th graders, and I just said, go fish. No, I don't got it. I'm not with you on this one.
It's a small target audience for making bank.
Right.
Yeah. There's a lot more to it than just.
Well, he's thinking I'm going to sell for $40, $50 a bottle.
Right. That's still only $1,200
with his signature on it.
That's the key right there. Someday.
Yes.
Yeah. Most of the time, that's after you die, but it might be worth something.
So that was his latest one. He has at least one a week.
I never look at it as like I want to make money. My brain goes, if I made money, I could do this more. Mm-hmm. And it's like, but I do relate a little bit with cooking, with his plan of like, I'm a bit arrogant. I go, we're gonna mix this stuff together. It'll be good. And it's like, so far so good, but not always. There's been a few misses, but
See, I was offered a job a year ago. I got approached, and they said, hey, we want you to do this job. And I said, tell me more. And they started to try and tell me the salary and different things. I'm like, yeah, I don't care about that. That's the last thing I care about. The money's not my issue. If I'm not going to be interested, the money doesn't matter. And so then they had to change their sales pitch. And then I was like, okay, now I'm curious. And anyhow, I've become friends with my boss because I ended up taking, it was just a small job, but I still have it. And I've become friends with my bosses through that because I'm not intimidated because I'm not doing it for the money. I don't feel like an employee. It's like, no, we're partnering on a similar vision now. I'm not an employee. I'm a carrier of the same vision, and that means we're on the same level.
When I was attempted to be a car salesman, they regularly were like, you got to make, sell it for more so you get more money. And I'm over here like, no, like, why can't we just agree that $500 isn't worth arguing over?
Yeah.
Take it out of my commission. I don't care. Whatever.
Yeah.
Like, let's make this deal because they're trying to buy a car. I want to sell it to them.
I'm a horrible salesman.
Yeah.
Because I don't care about the money. I want to make sure they get a good deal and that they get something quality, whatever it is they're wanting. And that is going to cut into whatever profit margin. And I just don't care enough.
I am the closest to a good salesman I was is when I was selling hand lotion because it was great hand lotion. It was high quality.
What makes a high quality
lotion.
hand lotion?
Function, I guess. I don't know the exact scientific way to explain it, but there's some lotions out there that you put them on and then you're like, oh, I don't want to touch anything now because it's greasy, etc.
So it's not being absorbed in. It's not rehydrating your skin.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I got hired to do basically ShamWow style sales of this lotion.
But see, what I love about ShamWow is you go to the fair. I mean, they do the best performance. I love it. You get a microphone and I'll go sit and listen to them and go back repeatedly because, I think they got a great little repertoire.
I think that the reason I was successful at that is because the product was good enough to where that was probably 20 years ago and it's still in my bathroom.
So the product you had a passion for.
Yeah.
It's not the salesmanship. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, see, that's how I became a pastor.
I did have a question about that because I went through the whole Catholic experience and then stopped. But if from my point of view, there's the church and there's different levels of the church, but anything beyond the first person, up at the podium. Mm-hmm. It's just organization, and I don't know anything about how it works. Mm-hmm. According to the website for your church, you were sent here and decided to stay. Where were you before this? And was it like, hey, we've got an opportunity. Are you interested? Or was it like, here's a bulletin board and you went, oh, that's interesting? Or is it more military-like where it was like, no, you got to go because you're in the church?
So there's different denominations. Catholics, Baptists. Well, I don't know that Catholics is a denomination. In my mind, they kind of are. Just kind of a branch. There's a hierarchical organization. There's some kind of system for the protection of people, which is if you get a really screwed up pastor, we need to come in and remove him and protect the churches. Or, we want to make sure that we're growing and supporting the churches and resourcing them. So there's some hierarchy and going, we don't want idiots also working in the churches. So we want to have some sort of educational, let's make sure they've jumped through the right hoops that we can at least, the best as we can, endorse them to protect people. So that's, and different denominations they kind of develop, and I think it's a healthy thing to have different denominations. Some are very liturgical. You would say the Catholics, like or the Lutherans, where it's very somber, it's very quiet, more meditative, and it's structured, and you would have maybe written prayers, and then there's others that are just kind of more Charismatic. They're the free ones, the fun ones, the screamers, yellers, hands up, and laugh and cry, and they're having a great time, and I love that. I think different temperaments and personalities of people are going to be attracted to different ones. That's a healthy thing. There's a place for people, their temperament, their personality, or their way of seeing God feels good, and they want to go there. They like the right traditions, the right songs. Ideally, we all keep growing and we don't stay in the same place. That would be the ideal. It's not the reality, but it'd be awesome. And so they go to these different denominations. They develop, they grow, they have a hierarchy, and it's healthy in some sense, because there's a place for everyone to serve and to invest and to grow and use their giftings. So in my denomination, we're called the Christian Missionary Alliance. They called me up. I was unemployed. I was just living in Hillsboro, as I had left a church up in Alaska, moved out of Alaska thinking there's not a lot of places to go work. I'd tried to get other jobs not in the church. I don't feel that I have to stay in as a pastor. And so I was looking for jobs, couldn't find one. And I got a call from the denomination that I'm ordained or licensed through, the ones who made sure I jumped through all the right hoops. And they said, hey, you don't have a job right now. Are you still thinking of staying a pastor? I said, yeah. They're like, well, we don't really have any jobs right now, but there's this church in Cathlamet. They're really struggling. They're down to like 10 people, 10, 15 people. Financially, they're not making it. And it just looks like they're dying. How about you, if you're open to it, Kenny, can you go there and just kind of walk with them and journey with them as we close the church? Because it's dead. It doesn't seem to be viable. And so I said, sure, I've got nothing but time. So that was March 11 years ago. And so 2015. So I started driving up just on Sundays, just to come preach and, kind of give them some teaching and to kind of guide them towards some discussions on what's next in the lives of the people. Like, let's transition them out of the building, out of the church, and we're going to close it. And so I was doing that for several months, but in that time, it's like a spark hit. And the denomination said, hey, we're not going to kill it yet. Let's just wait and see. They said, Kenny, can you keep preaching? I'm like, I still have no job. So I'll just drive up. I can do it every Sunday. I'm comfortable doing that. So drive the hour and a half up here, and I would leave every, after church, drive back to Hillsboro, Oregon. And I did that for about 6-7 months. And the church grew to about a size of 30 or more. And they said, hey, this church isn't dead. We don't want to kill and stop something if it doesn't need to be. So they said, Kenny, if you're okay with it, what if you just became their pastor? And they asked the church, are you okay with Kenny if he just stays your pastor? And they're like, yeah, it seems to be a good fit. And I said the same thing. So it was not for another 6 months, roughly, they got to a point where they could even hire me, because they just didn't have the capital. And because it's a full-time job, paid. Doesn't have to be, but that's what they wanted, was a full-time pastor. And so it was probably around June of 2016 that they hired me full-time. And then I was up here a lot more after that, but it took me several months to find a place to move my family to. So then we moved here in August of 2016, and I've been here ever since. Does that answer your question?
Yes, very much. That was perfect. But it did make me think of something. So you're a full-time pastor.
Yeah.
Is the church, are you like when it comes to this church, like the only employee kind of situation?
Correct, I am.
Okay. And is it like in the movies where basically anyone can come up and knock on the door at any time kind of thing? Or is there, like, if somebody wanted to quietly, explore the church, and I say quietly just because obviously if somebody is interested in, they could show up at Mass, which is at
Sunday at 10 in the morning, right?
10. But if somebody was not that type of person, how would they engage that?
it still shocks me to this day that we have first-time visitors almost every week. And it's been this way for many years. There's always new people coming. And if I meet someone, they're like, hey, I heard about your church. I want to check it out. I'm a little nervous because I don't know what the rules are or what I'm supposed to do when I go there, and to see new people and to not feel like I know what to expect. I tell people, well, then don't come yet. Here's what you do. Get on YouTube, look up the Bridge Church Cath Lament, and you'll see the video of the recording of every Sunday for the last 6 years. And just pick any one of them at random or pick the most recent one and watch it. And if something connects and it kind of resonates, maybe you want to do the next step, which is, come in and actually try it on a Sunday morning. And you're out of your comfort zone. And I applaud anyone who checks out any church and takes that, because it's humbling and hard to get out of your comfort zone to say, where can I grow and where do I feel safe? Because that would be the key word. Do I feel safe here? Safe to grow, safe to put my walls down, ultimately. Safe to invest my time and my own heart. And does how this church, how they do this kind of thing about God, does that fit how I want to do this thing with God? And so there's a lot of layers to it. And I tell people, just stalk us, talk to more people that go, or watch us online, listen, do whatever you need to do. But this is about their comfort level. This isn't about me trying to grow a church. That's not the goal. That's not my goal as a pastor. I don't have any desire to grow a church. That's not my ambition. And that bothers people in the church sometimes, because they think the goal is that we grow a church. And I'm like, that's not my goal. I have a goal that we impact this community.
I'm going to skip that. I don't want to. I was going to bring up some specific people, and they're evangelical. That's the word. Work, and it's like I don't want to throw anyone out there.
You know who really fits this church? I'll say who fits well. People who seem to enjoy it. People who've really been damaged and hurt by the church in the past, or maybe they got burned. We have a lot of recovering Catholics. People that are recovering Christians, people who got hurt, and it's like, I had a really bad experience, but I still believe there's a God, and I still need to find a place. And where can I go to ask questions and not feel like an idiot or stupid or something shoved down my throat? And those are the ones that seem to fit really well here and are willing to say, maybe I don't have all the answers either, but maybe we can learn together.
I'm going to brag about privilege a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
I can never actually succeed as a comedian because I am generally not broken. When it came to the church, the only issue I had was once my parents stopped being responsible for me, I just got tired and bored. There was no reason other than, that, just falling asleep at Mass.
Yeah.
But, generally speaking, I'm untraumatized, but I am going to shoehorn something in that I thought about asking.
Oh, this is great. We don't get enough shoehorns these days.
Yeah, right?
It's kind of a lost art.
But so you mentioned stepping out of comfort zone.
Oh, yeah.
Which is, I would say, connected to the ego in the non-scientific use of the word, but more like the psychedelic use of the word. There was a study, supposedly, according to all of the podcast sources that are reputable, where they gave religious people mushrooms and then sent them to church. And a lot of them...
I like where this is going.
A lot of them supposedly said that it was the most religious experience they ever had.
I wouldn't doubt it.
What are your thoughts on that, we'll say, aspect or avenue to get to, God?
How's this? I think that a lot of people think prayer is about us talking to God. I think God wants to talk to us. We just don't take time to listen or to put ourselves in a position to hear. We have very busy lives. I have a goal. I have an agenda. Tell God all my problems. Get mad that he's not solving everything my way, and then I move on. wouldn't it be amazing if there is a God, if God actually talked? And that's kind of the premise of what I wanted. Like as a pastor, I kind of start with that for myself, not for others, but for myself going, if there really is a God, I believe he wants to communicate. And so now how do I listen? And what if listening changed everything about how I live? And what if it could change others if the God who created them actually wants to talk to them? And so if a psychedelic drug could get me past maybe my own blocks and walls, I'll say this, I don't know that I'm against it. I will never say I'm in favor of it, because what I also think you're doing is you're letting control of the reins. And I don't know where that could lead in a safe environment. But I know a guy who, and he's passed away about 2 years ago, and he was in this community, and he told me a story that he did psychedelic drugs and had the most amazing experiences connecting to God. I absolutely believed him. He told other Christians, and they threw rocks at the guy. And he would just get so mad that people didn't believe him. And I said, I actually do believe you. I think God can use it. But do I think that that would be God's preferred way? That's where I would go. I mean, it's a gray area. Most, I think, evangelicals would not say it's a gray area, but I do. But I also teach ethics, and I think ethics is it's a messy field to walk in.
Yeah. And I guess that's one of the hard pills to swallow when it comes to the idea of God. Mm-hmm. Like, I believe that there's definitely some crazy something or other doing mm-hmm. stuff that we don't have any idea of how it works.
Sure. And I think some people would do the drugs going, I just blessed that, so now go do drugs. Well,
right.
The pastor just endorsed it. And I go, that isn't what I'm wanting either.
No.
I'm not trying to give a freedom to go do drugs. But I do believe God can say, I think God could go, and I'll use it, even that as an open avenue if it helps.
That falls under like the saying of you can't fall off a path if the path, falling off the path was part of the path.
Right.
So it's like you can't, going from point A to point B is not a straight line.
Right. And the goal isn't to get to point B.
Right. It's to connect the dots on your way and look at them. But so no, we're not at all saying do mushrooms or anything.
Correct.
But it is interesting because of the fragility of our existence based solely on the way that our eyes, ears, senses work. Mm-hmm. And something like mushrooms or LSD or alcohol mm-hmm. gets in your bloodstream, and then existence can change or disappear if you're blackout drunk, yet still go on. And it's just interesting because there's that's what I was gonna get at, is it's like one of the hard pills to swallow is that if and I'm a computer logic guy, so I'm gonna do this kind of computer logic-y, but if God exists and God wants to, is that the chicken outside maybe? But if if God wants to interrupt, it could be as simple as a chicken squawking outside. Yeah. And in that room at that time, it could seem so profound.
Yes.
But as soon as you try to explain it to somebody outside that room, that it just dissipates into like, oh, I guess you had to be there. And
nor is that a model being given that this is how you now do it every time.
Right. But because of that dissipation of would it be profanity? Like the profundity? It wouldn't be
profundity.
Yeah, definitely not profanity. That's the wrong word. But and it's like to one person it'll be completely convincing. And then when they try to explain that to other
Yeah.
people, they're like, you're crazy.
The profoundness.
The profoundness. Yeah. And it's like,
Yeah.
that's the hard pill to swallow, is it's like, you don't really have a right to judge other people's experiences of that level. Like when it comes to anything, but in this case, specifically the divine, it's like, yeah, we all experience it our own way. And
Yeah.
just because you don't get it doesn't mean it didn't happen.
And there are inherent dangers to completely losing control. I'm not saying God can't use that, but there are other dangers that you have now completely checked out, and you may not have any memory of this encounter. Is it of even value, or is it that I just wanted to get high and I wanted to be able to find a good reason to
Right.
excuse it?
Right. I always chuckle whenever this happens, because I don't know about other people, but most of the time when something interesting kind of knocks you out of doing something, like whether it be like you were about to put your key in the car and a bird shit on your hand, and therefore you went inside to wash your hand, and the thought might pass that was God saying, you know, like, if you leave now, you're gonna get a car accident. Go wash your hand.
Yeah.
But it's like, we always generally go to positive interaction like that. And it's like, but what if it was the devil going, you know, if he leaves now, he'll find that lottery ticket. Or if he leaves now, he'll end up meeting that person who they work together to cure cancer. And it's like, why do we always assume that it's a positive sign and not someone trying to get in the way of positivity?
I used to be working in Ellensburg, Washington. Worked there for 10 years, and people would drive the pass from Ellensburg to Seattle, and during the winter it can be pretty dangerous. And there's a lot of accidents up there. So people would always come up to me and they'd say, "Hey, can you just pray for our safety?" And I'm like, "Awesome, but what if God doesn't care?" Just, you know, I didn't say this to everyone, but I did to some, just saying, what if God doesn't care whether you're safe or not? And some would be just shocked. What do you mean God doesn't? I mean, I'm like, okay, first of all, I think God does want us safe. I think he does. But I don't think that's God's first goal. I think that's down on the list. God's first goal is not that our lives are safe or happy or taken care of. In fact, I don't know how much he cares about whether we live or die. I just don't know. I said, go with me on this. What if you get in a car wreck and you get injured, maybe even a severe injury for the rest of your life? You could get mad at God. Well, God didn't keep me safe. I said, but what if God's greater goal is that you connect to God regardless? So God, I have something bad that happens to me. How do I love you? How do I stay connected to you? How do we keep doing this journey together? And God's like, because that's what I think. I think what God cares about the most is, how do we respond to good and bad things, and do we stay connected to God regardless? And after that, then maybe God does care about that we don't get hurt. But I don't know that that's his goal. I don't think that's why he doesn't stop everything.
Right.
Is his goal, isn't. And even keeping us alive is not the goal. He's like, I'm on the long-term plan here, which is eternity with you. Be in relationship, to be connected. Death isn't the end. And he's like, I get how your mind thinks it is, but that's not it. So back to what you were saying, sometimes so many of these goals are short-sighted. And I think many Christians, people, it's just people, it's not Christians. We just we want what we want, and we want our safety, or we want the positive. And God's like, yeah, and it's not that that's not important. I get that it is for you. But really, I'm after an intimacy and a connection. And what's going to happen when things don't work out, or I don't intervene, or you don't get the positive that you're hoping will happen? Can we stay connected? Can we work through those issues together?
What's the popular Bible verse where he gets the wager between God and the devil to try to convince what's his face
Job.
to sacrifice his child,
Oh, Abraham.
Abraham.
Yeah.
What was Job? What were you?
Job is God and Satan are up in heaven, and Satan's like, oh, you let me have control, I could totally win him away from you. And
So I was mixing up two different
and so
stories.
then Job, suddenly all of his kids die, everything falls apart and his whole life is in ruins. And he's got these three friends who are like, you should just curse God. And he's like, no, I don't have any idea what God's doing and I'm not going to do that. And then finally he has this, and it's actually not even a Jewish story. It's pre-Jewish, and it's probably the oldest book, one of the oldest books in the world, the book of Job. But I didn't know if that's where you're headed is.
No, I definitely mixed the two of them
Gotcha.
up because when you said that, it's like, oh yeah, right. That doesn't actually connect the dots because, yeah. But
with Abraham, he said, I want you to sacrifice your son to me. And that was a popular custom back then, is if I, not with the Jews, but to the culture at the time and the different religions, is how do I get God to do what I want him to do? I know, I'll sacrifice a child, one of my children, oftentimes a firstborn. And so this idea that Abraham, he's like, oh, God's asking me to sacrifice my first and only son. Okay. And he goes up there and did God actually want him to sacrifice, or was God just saying, I need you to trust me? Do you love me more? I just want to know, are we in this on a relationship, or are you just trying to get something from me?
you got to trust God to convince you to drive slow in the snow,
Yeah.
not to keep you on the road if you drive like a jackass.
And if God had let Abraham kill his son, God, Abraham, can you still love me, even if I don't give you everything you want?
All right. Speaking of everything I want, I do want a little more information about your website, kind of. So I saw that you have all of those sermons set up as a podcast. Is that hosted on Spotify or somewhere else?
I think the only way you can get them is if you go to the Bridge Cathlamet website and get them. I don't think it's not set up on any platform.
Okay.
I've not really done a good job at trying to get stuff accessible to people. In fact, I don't think anyone has ever listened to one of my podcasts. I think we usually get 25 to 45 people a week that watch my sermon on YouTube. That's where most people go to if they weren't at church and they want to hear it. Like I had a friend Sunday, 4 o'clock, I had a text from a guy who lives in North Carolina, and he's like, hey, I just listened to your sermon. I'm like, I just posted it. I don't know how you got it and watched it so fast. And he started commenting on what I said, and he's like, I had said something about, what if we didn't care about making America great as much as making God's kingdom great and Jesus great? I was like, we got the wrong focus. The focus is even bigger. And it was something that could be seen as controversial. And I was like, I'm not even saying that we shouldn't make America great, but what if that's not the goal of Christianity? And he's a general, general status, but he's in the Coast Guard, and he's a pretty high up guy. And I was nervous what he was going to say. And he's like, no, I listened to it. It was great. And you're right on. And he works at the Pentagon. And I was like, oh, wow, that was fast that you heard it and that you listened to it and already watched my sermon. I don't know that anyone goes to the church website or listens to the podcast. You might be the first to even discover there are podcasts, and it's just the sermon.
I promise you'll get the Kyle Rogers bump, which means nothing. But my dad was on a podcast called The Green Thread, which is based out of Holyoke Community College back east. But they host it on Spotify, which means you must go through Spotify for it.
Yeah.
So if you're not hosting it on Spotify, that means that, like, if you're hosting it yourself on Squarespace, for example,
right,
they have a built-in RSS feed thing. So that somebody could subscribe using any RSS aggregate.
Yeah.
And it'll automatically update to their phone. Speaking of which, that means it's about to be 2:30.
Hey, so what does a bump mean?
Oh, it's just a play on the Joe Rogan bump.
I like Joe Rogan. Okay.
Because it's like if you went on Joe Rogan,
Yeah.
your 45 viewers would shoot up to 4,000
Yes.
overnight.
I would say I don't want your bump unless you actually endorse what it is that I am also doing, because I don't know that you've listened to any of my messages.
I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I only discovered it the other day.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm asking is because I do want to put it on my thing, but because I'm of my profession,
Yeah.
it's a lot easier to walk down the street using an RSS
Yeah.
reader. Like I use Podcast Guru.
Yeah.
And it's a lot easier to listen while working than it is to listen while,
I'll say this about what I do at that church is the sermons that I give. I do my best to say, God, every week as I'm reading the Bible and I'm trying to figure you out, because I don't have the answers. Not all. Most I don't. How do I interact with this material and with what you're saying to me? And how does this shape my heart and my life? And that's what I'm trying to preach on. I don't know that I feel like I have much of a right to tell others what to do. And I don't have the answers. I have some. I have answers for me. And I have an education in, at a seminary. I do have degrees, but even that I don't feel gives me the right to tell other people how they need to conform or act or live. What I want is, as I'm trying to get vulnerable and share my journey, I'm really hoping it encourages other people to embrace their journey and to live it in a way that is honest and true between them and God. And that won't look like mine.
Well said.
Thanks.
Well said.
That's the goal, though.
I think we should call it there.
Okay?
Awesome. Kenny, thank you.
You're welcome, Kyle.
And I will subscribe. I'll figure it out, knowing that it's not on Spotify.
Thanks.
Show is over and no one is rich. Maybe next time I'll hit real big. I wish you good day. I'll see you next time. Oh, Travelist Dream!